Hello there, chaps. You know, when I think about how we're going to look back on this period of history, I think it's actually going to be characterized by defining things by what they're not. Because we're living in a bizarre time where a mentally ill man will chop off his balls and hack his cock in half and invert it inside of him and call himself a woman. And we all know that it's bullshit. We all know that it's deeply immoral and sadistic. And we know as well that it's done with the full complicity and understanding by doctors and nurses and all these different practitioners' names. It's a long list of meaningless titles that are just so barbaric. We know it's bullshit, but we are asked to believe, to pretend that we can subvert our own biology. And we also have feminism is equality. No, it ain't. We know it's not. We know that it's man hatred, and we know what it does to women. Just look at the before and after pictures before they've gone to university, all fresh-faced and beautiful with long flowing locks of hair, and then the satanic messes that they become after they've gone through the American and now the British university school system with more tattoos than 20 drunken sailors. I mean, it's so tragic and horrific. And you'll have noticed that I've not been doing quite as many videos recently. Honestly, I've been juggling lots and lots of different things, and I'm glad because I've been able to have some time to do some really deep, proper thinking, but also actually just to get the fuck on with stuff that I've been meaning to do for ages. And just back earlier on in my walk, in fact, she's over there behind the camera. There was this woman. She's walking her dog. Well, I say she's walking her dog because she's not actually walking the dog. And this woman was morbidly obese. I am going to say easily at least double the weight that she should be. And that's being really generous. It's possible that she's 2.5, 3 times the weight that she should be. And the thing was, as she was walking around the other side of the round pond over there, I thought that she was out for a walk with a friend of hers because the conversation was very, very loud. It's a round pond, and it's a very, very big pond. And her voice carried. I mean, it really did. But as I got up from my bench where I was sat on the other side, I walked past her to realise that she was speaking on her phone. These are just unbelievably beautiful autumn/fall surroundings. And the dog, which was a huge dog, was clearly desperate for exercise, to be walked. You know, the clue is in the term. This woman was sort of doing all of this with her phone and trying to sort of throw a ball, not often enough and not very far. And this dog was sort of looking up at its owner longingly. And I thought, this is a really bizarre state of affairs that we can't even put our phones down on, I know, recording here. I know, the performative contradiction. But I like to share this stuff with you. Can't even put her phone down to walk her dog and be out in these just unbelievable settings. And I thought, we've really got a lot of stuff wrong. And there's a clip of Joe Rogan doing the rounds. I have to say, it's very, very odd what they've dressed him in, because there's a very, very famous Marilyn Monroe dress, the one, you know, where the skirt gets blown up, and the straps of it go over her shoulders. It's sort of an iconic looking dress. And in this video clip, he looks like he's wearing the dress underneath whatever cardigan he's got on. And I just thought, this is really weird. We're trying to make, you know, Joe Rogan, this very short, albeit, but stacked guy, trying to feminize this bloke all the time. And the clip in question is talking about immigration and how, you know, we should have a little bit of heart for people who are invading the country illegally. And people just aren't having it anymore. It's all so humiliating. And we've really lost the idea of what it is to be men and women, and the powers that, as 𝐘𝐨 calls them, the powers that ought not to be. And they say that you get the leaders that you deserve, but the powers that ought not to be just want everything an amorphous blob. And I think people are getting truly fed up with it now. The thing is, I moved to my flat in my hometown just over 2 years ago now. And when I first arrived, in the bedroom were mirrored doors that covered the wardrobe, and I immediately took them down. But since that point, which is probably about 1.5 years ago, there were the actual conduits that facilitated the doors sliding across, and I've been meaning to get rid of them. And last night, because I didn't want to make any noise with electric drills and this kind of stuff, I thought, right, tomorrow I'm absolutely going to do it. And when I woke up, it was the absolute first thing that I did. And it's so satisfying because it's a small job, but a great big massive reward for just getting the fuck on with stuff. And my tone in my recent videos has been quite different because I've been back on my gym equipment for about the last month now, but this week I've done 3 really proper solid heavy workouts with pull-ups and lat pull downs and chest press and leg extensions, all the kind of really solid things. And I feel fantastic for it. I really, really do. Because when I get home and I put these videos to edit them out for the clip that I extract, I'm watching myself all the time. And obviously you notice physically what's going on and all of this kind of triple chins or kind of stuff going on here. I just thought, oh my God, I need to get training again. And it's so fantastic when you actually prioritize the really important stuff. And people want us to believe that the wrong things are the right things for us, you know, that socialism is absolutely the thing that we want. That, no, it's not what we want. You can't have any successful civilization or society based on resentment and wanting to keep people down. You can't do it. And no matter how many times socialism and communism fail, there are people that still will absolutely push the envelope for these things. And it's so important that we remember to not emulate the people who hate you. It's so critical that we do not emulate and take the advice of people who want our downfall. And I have understanding and a certain amount now. I used to have infinite sympathy for the wrong things, but which is why I stayed with my ex-boyfriend for so fucking long. But I look at that woman who is morbidly obese, continually, repeatedly and perpetually making the wrong decisions for her body and her life. And I look at her and I think, yeah, limited sympathy for that. That's just giving up on life. It just is. And we have to attribute agency to the choices that people make, you know, because God's forgiveness. We think that God's forgiveness, actually, when we talk about that, even as a religious or a cultural term, we think of that as an unconditional response, but when you actually think about it, it's actually quoted from the Psalms by Jesus on the cross. Forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. You can't apply that to a lot of people. People will look in the mirror. People will go to clothes shops to try and dress themselves. But that woman must have a really, really hard time, and she must know that as she's sat there morbidly obese, not walking her dog, and when she's on the phone to her friend who will doubtless be making every possible excuse for why she's living her life in an optimal way, we have to understand that live not by lies is one of the most fantastic pieces of advice that you can possibly follow. It really is. Because that woman isn't happy. She's not happy when she's fat and breathless and can't walk her dog properly. She's not living in the full blessing of life. She just isn't. And we all know this. And we know that she knows this. And she knows that we all know that she knows this. There's no hiding anymore. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody on the internet, whoever it was, maybe it was a famous person, maybe it was a complete nobody, but we're quoting him regardless, is that if all that we needed was more information, we'd all be jacked billionaires. Maybe I'm paraphrasing. Maybe I came up with that phrase. I don't know. I claim it. But the truth is, it's not about needing information. We know when we're not living properly. And my mission in all of this is, and I talk about this as my parents are coming back up, and you know, it's a whole new phase of life for us, because as a family we haven't actually lived together in the same locale for about quarter of a century. So it's a whole new adventure, but it also requires a whole new set of rules and boundaries and honesty. And the truth is, like that fat woman, she doesn't want to admit that she's unbelievably and monstrously unhealthy, because then she will be on a collision course with, you know, her denial over there and her better life all the way over there, and they're going to have to somehow meet in the middle, and that meeting in the middle is going to be really, really, really painful. It's going to be unbelievably painful for her to admit that she's been eating herself to death for a long time, and that she's going to have to undo it. And it's horrible admitting where you've gone wrong. It's really, really, really embarrassing and humiliating and painful. And it's where, I'm afraid, a lot of people get stuck. And the interesting thing is, when I was talking with my therapist yesterday about the advent of mum and dad coming back up here, I'm so excited for it, but I'm so nervous for the conversations that we're going to have, because I want us all to meet together as adults, and I don't know what that is going to be like. I really don't. But I know for my part, I need to grow some major balls, and I kind of need to do it overnight. It has to be quite quick, but it also has to be very steady and very calm and very measured. And earlier I did take a sit down myself to actually start writing out the boundaries that I need and will set. And I don't know how they're going to be received. And that is the fear state that most people get lost in. And so what do most do? Well, they make excuses, they rationalize things away, and they lesser themselves in the process. And that's been a huge part of my life, is making excuses for other people's poor and terrible behavior towards me, which I won't put up with anymore. And it's why many of us in this situation would much rather live a hermit's life millions of miles away from other people, because we don't want to face these things, frankly. Oh dear, shaking the camera around quite a lot. But it's so much better to actually face it and grow those big man balls, because I'll tell you, what's coming culturally and politically over the next few years and decades, it's not going to be pretty. None of it is going to be pretty, but we need as many men as possible to actually deal with it. So get over those excuses, get over calling things what they're not. Start being honest. Hit the gym, it's good, it definitely helps. Get strong mentally, get strong physically, and together we will overcome all of the things that are coming, because we deserve to live the best possible lives that we can, and we have to do it ourselves.